Hi, I'm Paul Edwards, author of the Mourners Woods books, and first and foremost, a monster kid. Tonight I'm watching Lake Mungo from 2008. Lake Mungo is an Australian ghost film presented as if it were a documentary documenting the haunting of an Australian suburban family. What happens is that in this family, there's a father, mother, teenage son, and teenage daughter. And when the family is out swimming one day, the teenage daughter, Alice, disappears underwater. Hours pass, all searches are fruitless, nobody's found any sign of her. And then, much later, the drowned, decimated body of a young woman is recovered from the bottom of the lake. And the father identifies this corpse as being his daughter, Alice. So the family goes back home, heartbroken that Alice has died. They go through grieving and mourning. And as the weeks pass, odd things start happening around the house. There are sightings of figures that arguably could be Alice. The family's first thought is that they misidentified the body from the water and their Alice is still alive. So they have her body exhumed. Unfortunately, that is really Alice's body that's buried. So now the family thinks that they're dealing with a ghost. And we're presented the evidence that the family encounters in chronological order, evidence that seems to suggest that the ghost of Alice is in their house and on their grounds. But the twist is that each time we're presented with some evidence, it's almost immediately debunked. For example, they'll show you one photograph and it'll look like they've captured something in the background of the photograph where there's an image of Alice's face. And you're like, oh, that is spooky. I guess it is Alice's ghost. But then it turns out that this was, somebody had placed a mirror at an angle where it was catching a reflection of her picture. So, okay, there's a rational explanation for it. And they hit you with this a couple of times. They give you evidence that looks pretty compelling that there's a ghost that's been caught on film, and then a rational explanation is given. Oh, that was really such and such. So you're not really sure where they're going with this film, whether it's all going to turn out to be fake outs or whether they're eventually going to come upon evidence that can't be refuted so easily. A lot of the substance of this film is in found footage format, because the teenage son is taking a lot of video evidence of things in and around the house, and what he captures is or appears to be the ghost of Alice. And then we're looking at his found footage in the pseudo-documentary to see if it has any merit. Now, I am going to tell you a bit of a spoiler for this movie, but in this particular case, I think this spoiler will make it more fun to watch the movie. And I wouldn't say that lightly, okay? Here's what they'll do. Let's suppose that they're showing you a piece of found footage, and it's exactly what you're looking at in this YouTube video right now with this image, okay? And let's say that they have something suspicious over here that you think maybe it's a sign that it's Alice's ghost or something. And then a few minutes later into the movie, they'll debunk it and prove, oh, there was a rational explanation for this. But much, much later in the movie, they'll come back to this same image. And what you never even noticed is that over there in the same image, there's something else that's more convincingly an image of Alice as a ghost. But you just didn't even notice it before because you were distracted by the person that was being photographed and by the first fake image over here. It's a classic case of watching what the other hand is doing. You got to, when you're watching a magician, you got to watch what the other hand is doing. When they're trying to get you to look over here on the screen, you should really be looking over here, and you're going to see possibly the real evidence of a haunting. When I say a found footage ghost movie, probably the first thing that a horror fan would think of would be the Paranormal Activity movies, that franchise. Believe me when I say Lake Mungo makes Paranormal Activity look like an episode of Scooby-Doo. This is one scary movie. It's not gory scary. It's not jump scare scary. It's stark terror scary. The one problem with this film is you can't half watch it. You can't be on your phone or, doing your homework or paying your bills and glancing up at it every now and then, or you're going to miss the majority of the entertainment value of it. You have to actually pay full attention to the movie like we were back in the 20th century, and this is how it was done in the old days. You have to actually watch the movie continually. But it is absolutely worth your time. Lake Mungo is spooky as anything. And keep watching it through the credits, because they do mid-credits scenes. And no, it's not a Marvel Comics movie, but they do mid-credits scenes that show you things that you did not notice in the main body of the movie. And then you're like, oh, I was looking right at that the whole time. It's absolutely worth seeing. Listen, if you enjoy ghost stories, have I got the book for you. Mourners Cliff is one of my Mourners Woods novels. Same book, 2 different covers. This is the original cover, and this is the new. It's got my heroine, Jazz, hanging on for dear afterlife along the side of Mourners Cliff. The story of Mourners Cliff is pretty straightforward. Jazz loved climbing on Mourners Cliff, and she went every opportunity she could, even though it was in the middle of this haunted forest, Mourners Woods. One day, she joins her friends for one of these expeditions to the top of the cliff, but strangely, they seem to ignore her. Everyone ignores what she says, except for her best friend David, who keeps asking her why she's here. And when she gets to the top of the cliff, she learns the terrible truth as her friends scatter her ashes off of the cliff that she loved so much, the cliff where she died. Now, Jazz realizes that she has to solve her own murder and figure out which one of her friends pushed her to her death before the killer can hurt the rest of her friends. Mourners Cliff, like all my Mourners Woods novels, is available on Amazon. I'll drop a link in the description for this video. Thanks for letting me talk to you about Lake Mungo. Absolutely worth catching, especially if you like found footage films. I'll see you in Mourners Woods.